Aloha and good morning. If you didn't know, yesterday was Veterans Day. And even though I myself have not served, I do know how important this day was because my father, a U.S. Navy retiree, served 20 years himself. I have much respect for the sacrifice that my father and that many veterans chose to endure for this country. Without my father choosing to leave his homeland, the Philippines, to join the U.S. Navy, I would not be lucky enough to live the life that I'm living today. So, to show my respect and gratitude, I've created this video today to help more active duty members and the veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces understand more of this amazing benefits of the VA loan. So stay tuned as I break down the VA loan, specifically for those in Oahu and those PSCing to Hawaii in the near future. Coming right up. What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. A little background on me. I'm Vince, Hawaii realtor and content creator, and today's episode is special. Now before I begin, if you yourself are an active duty member and especially a veteran, I'd like to say thank you very much for your service. Again, as I've already mentioned, I have a huge amount of respect for those that have served, and I really believe it's important to express gratitude as much as we can. So again, thank you very much. Also, if you want to skip to the meat of this video, because I will be spilling my heart out here just a bit, the time code is in the description. You see, I'd like to consider myself a local here, but the truth is, I was not born here. Yes, I am a military brat, as they say, and I moved to Hawaii when I was in the 6th grade. Now, if you yourself are in a military family, then you should know full and well what it means to not have a permanent home and having to move from place to place all of your life, not being able to be with friends or make new friends and be near relatives to grow up with. Basically a tribe that you can call home. Fortunately enough, when I moved here, I met people that welcomed me with open arms, and I fell in love with this place ever since. But I understand how difficult the PSCing life can be, and so I wanted to make sure that I lend support in some way to the military community when I got older. And so my support extended into my first career position out of college, which was a member service representative at the Navy Federal Credit Union. There I kind of intended to eventually work my way into mortgages and being a loan specialist. However, I realized my expertise was more suited in the field, as they say. And so to be able to continue serving people just like me or from the military community, I swore that the first thing I would do when I became a realtor was get certified as an MRP. Basically a realtor that specializes in helping military families PCS and is a specialist in the VA loan. I did this so that way I can have a hand in the process of helping military families PCS and transition into their new home here on the island. And so that's why I created this video, again, to continue that support and to explain further about the amazing benefits of the VA loan. So today I'll cover a VA loan breakdown, which will go over the eligibility requirements, the benefits, and then any other important details that you must know if you intend to use the VA loan. And so now that's out of the way and you understand why I'm doing this and why it's important to me, let's jump right into it. Let's get into the VA loan breakdown. Let's start with the eligibility requirements. Now here is a breakdown of the eligibility requirements. You can take a screenshot of this as well. But basically you do qualify to use the VA loan if you are an active duty member that has served at least more than 90 days, and if you are a veteran that has served at least more than 90 days during wartime or 180 days during peacetime. As you can see, it also extends down to the National Guard as well as reserves if you've served at least 6 years. And then lastly, those that qualify would be the surviving spouse of any veteran that passed away or died in the line of duty or during their service. The exception to this is that the living spouse cannot be remarried, and this does not extend towards family members, so children, parents, any other relatives. It's just for the surviving spouse. Now that's the eligibility requirements. Before I get into the benefits, to break down, the VA loan is just like any other loan outside of the things I'm about to mention, but you still have to meet the basic requirements of any other loan, like proof of steady income or a certain amount of credit score or a decent credit score, things like that. But the VA loan, on top of that, has way more benefits and a few more things you want to account for. The number one benefit that you may have already heard of is that the VA loan requires zero down payment and it has no PMI. PMI meaning private mortgage insurance. If you don't already know, PMI is something that's taxed on top of your mortgage if you don't put down at least 20% for the down payment. By the way, since we're talking about PMI, I did create a video just last week that went over the top terms when you're applying for a mortgage or qualifying for a home loan, and PMI is included in that. So if you do need a refresher of what that is, go ahead and click on that video there or check it out. Right, so besides that zero down payments and there being no PMI, the next benefit is that the VA does guarantee you up to 25% of the loan amount. Essentially what that means is that to the seller and to your lender, you are basically putting down 25% of a down payment for this loan. But again, you're not paying that, the VA is paying for that. So automatically you look like a very strong buyer. And I believe there's been a new update as well. There is no limit to how much the VA will finance. They will finance 100% of the loan to value ratio of the home. But of course, it does still have to be within your income limits and your qualifications. They're not gonna finance $1 million home if you can't afford the mortgage for $1 million home, you know what I mean? And on top of all that, you almost always have better rates and terms with the VA. This is regardless of your credit score. Of course, you still do need to meet the minimum of 580, but there are some exceptions sometimes. Just fair warning, that could come with additional costs if you do not meet that requirement. And by better terms and rates, I also mean that you are granted more of a higher debt to income ratio. Basically meaning that you can possibly afford more home than you would if you were to go with a conventional. Overall, we're talking about the VA being more lenient towards you as long as you meet the basic requirements. And this next one, contrary to popular belief, the VA is not a one and done loan. There are some loans like here in Hawaii where you can only use it once if you're a first-time home buyer. The VA is not that. You can use it multiple times. You just have to free it up. And so basically to do this, you would refinance your current loan that's underneath that VA, and you would refinance it to a conventional, thus freeing up that VA, and then you can use the VA loan towards your second home or the next home. And the reason why this has to be done in that way is because the VA loan is only supposed to be used for your primary residence, basically not to be used for investment properties. But one way around this is, by primary residence, we're not just talking about single family units or condos and townhomes. If it's available to you in your area and you can afford to, you can even use the VA to purchase a duplex or a triplex, quadplex, whatever, and then possibly rent out the additional units you're not using. But again, you still have to be living underneath that roof as your primary residence, at least for the first year. And speaking of using the VA for a condo or a townhome, you do have to make sure that it is VA approved. Basically, homes that are underneath the VA loan have to meet certain requirements that will qualify for the VA to cover it, to finance it. And so the VA will send a specific VA appraiser to appraise the home and its value, but they'll also assess the qualifications that is necessary for it to be underneath a loan, a VA loan. And so that was the benefits of the VA loan. Again, amazing benefits, as you can see. But if there is a catch to the VA loan, it is the VA funding fee. This is an additional fee that you must pay when you use the VA loan that is usually included in your closing cost. This fee is then directly paid to the Veterans Administration to continue funding the organization to help other military families or members use the VA in the future. That being said, here is the chart here if you do want to screenshot that. But basically the cost actually depends, because just like the closing cost, which is typically 2 to 3% or 2 to 4% depending on where you are, the funding fee is typically a percentage of the purchase price, the price of the home. As you can see, typically for a first-time home buyer that is putting down less than the 5%, you can expect your funding fee to be 2.15%. Again, this is included into the closing costs that you pay at the end of escrow. Now, as for paying this VA funding fee, you actually have a couple options in terms of how to pay it. You can either pay it up front along with your closing cost, or you can roll it into your actual loan, and so thus you pay it down inside of your mortgage. And then lastly, depending on the housing market climate, you could also ask the seller to pay for those costs or cover those costs for you. But if you've been following my channel, you understand that right now in 2021 and going into 2022, asking for the seller to pay any cost is kind of unlikely, and I wouldn't expect it. fingers crossed that maybe we are headed towards a buyer's market going towards the end of 2022 and into 2023. That being said, after knowing that fact, I know I preach that the VA loan is probably the best loan benefit, but it really all depends. You do want to do a side-by-side comparison of your options to see whether or not the numbers make sense, especially if maybe you have the VA loan and then the lender that you decided to go to ends up paying some credit towards you or some of the cost, then in that case, the VA loan would be more of a benefit. But if you happen to pay this all out of pocket or whatever the case, maybe the amount that you would have normally paid for a conventional loan may be less than this actual VA loan. It really depends. Again, look at all of your options and make that decision for yourself. And so the last important detail that you must know that I get asked a lot is that you don't have to go to a specific lender or a company to get pre-approved for the VA loan. Every commercial bank or mortgage broker can qualify you for the VA. There is no such thing as a VA recommended company. The VA is just like any other loan. If you hear a lender or a company specifically say that they're VA experts, those are typically for-profit companies. Unless that company is offering you additional credits or to cover certain costs, you may be better off going to a mortgage broker that you know is efficient and that you trust, because they most likely can offer you the same amounts of benefit or the exact same rates and better terms. But don't get me wrong, this is not to look down on these specific companies. There are a lot of these companies, these VA experts, that are actually veterans themselves who support the military community. And so if that's the case, there should be nothing wrong if you work with people that are part of your tribe and that you can trust, as long as you can determine that they have your best interest in mind. Like I always preach on this channel, open up your options and do a side-by-side comparison and make an educated decision that's best for your situation. Okay, so that's all I have for today. I am going to make a part 2 of this video about military life on Oahu and PSCing to Hawaii. For now, again, I'd like to say thank you to all military service members and veterans. I hope you found value in this video, and if you want to see more content about the VA, specific to Oahu, or PSCing to Hawaii and military life on Oahu, then I invite you to subscribe so that way you can stick around or come back when that video comes around. Anyways, I hope you have a blessed day and a blessed life. You deserve it. Peace.